off. Like my
again.
connection to AIM will suddenly drop and my Skype will go down and attempt to reconnect, can't load web pages. Called up customer support, they say everything on their end is fine.
They always say everything on there is fine, even when it's not.
Yeah.
Just a lesson.
All right, so basically their diagnostics, they have automated software that does diagnostics and it's fine. We have automated software as consumers that does automated diagnostics and it reports everything fine. We call it, adware, spyware scans, that sort of thing. But if you've watched how to do it or if you have dealt with technology, you know that technology develops quirks. Things happen, things break down, silicon breaks down. For example, on a DSL provider's end, the DSLAM may report that everything's A-OK and it needs no servicing. But it could develop quirks that it's not detecting automatically and that only a technician could actually solve. So they'll say everything's... Now, I am not convinced yet that they don't say everything is okay just to avoid helping you. I'm not convinced they don't do that. I think they do. I think that's step one. Everything's fine on our end, go away.
Well, yeah, here's the problem. Help desk people, they got to get off that phone in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They're required to get off the phone, get on to the next call within 10 minutes, or they get in trouble. They get marks on them for staying on the phone.
I have a good story about everything is fine on our end. While I was working in university, we had some internet connection problems. And we got, we called the provider and said, everything is fine here. We sent a guy out, and the building was on fire. Everything is fine.
We're fine. Call them up.
Everything's fine. Sure, really.
Building's on fire. Things are fucked up. All right, the question goes on. My tower and router are fairly new and have been working fine for the past month. I cannot trace it to any repeatable event like running specific software or anything like that. It truly appears to be random. I'm sure it's a kind of DNS problem. It's not, and I can explain why. The weirdest part is that if I leave it alone for a while, eventually it starts working again, no reboot or anything. Eventually the DNS works again on its own after an apparent random relaxation time. No drops, no issues, nothing. I'm figuring there's some kind of problem with the DNS service. I just can't understand what's wrong. I'm not the savviest of people, but I've been calling people who are left and right and can't seem to have any pinpoint of the problem. Any helps, ideas would be appreciated. Here's why it's not DNS. DNS is just a lookup service.
It's a phone book.
It's a phone book. It translates names to numbers. You are losing already established connections to AIM, to Skype, to, I'm sure, other services as well. That has nothing to do with DNS. So it's not a DNS problem. The DNS might have a problem in it, but the problem you're experiencing, not that.
No.
I think what you're experiencing is one of two things. I think either there is a problem on the ISP's end where your IP is timing out, and they're having an issue releasing you your current IP address. Or there is an issue in your network configuration that doesn't allow you to have an IP address reissued, and you need a new one.
Or their building is on fire.
I think there's an IP leasing issue going on here. That is,
your router is just derping.
Or your router is just a piece of shit. I mean, it's entirely possible. Let's be completely honest here. Consumer routers are shit. I mean, I am surprised. I'm amazed every day that every day a news story about a Linksys or a D-Link or some really popular brand of router hasn't been compromised because of the strict requirements that are in there and how many bugs are in them. I'm surprised that there's just not an outright compromise for accessing routers outside, that it's just not floating around out in public already. Every day that goes by and there's not this major news story that every Linksys ever can be compromised with this script. It astounds me.
That would be like Christmas.
It just astounds me. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's a problem with your computer. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a problem with the router. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a problem at the ISP's end. But I think what's happening I think it has, because of your symptoms, has something to do with your IP leasing schema going on.
So how can he fix it?
He can't.
He can't.
No.
He's
That's
bone.
the problem. You're kind of bone in this situation. You got to put up with it. The only thing, it's more than likely, it's probably the router doesn't want to give up the IP address, and the ISP wants you to give up the IP. Well, actually, what could be happening, and this happened a lot with Time Warner Cable, was that the cable modem didn't want to release the IP address, but Time Warner Cable was implementing a new policy of cycling IP addresses every 2 hours or so.
So their supplied modem would not work with their policy.
Well, until the IP address was finally out of date, and the worst problem was it was a misconfiguration on Time Warner's end. They would say that the IP address would be valid for 24 hours, but they would check it. But they would try to cycle it every 2 hours.
Yeah.
So you'd have to reboot the modem manually to get it to go. So
Every 2 hours.
there's the problem with this sort of problem is that the only thing I could tell you is check your network drivers. Reboot your router. I know it's not rebooting on its own, but reboot it yourself. And pray. Pray to the ancient Incan gods of technology and networking that some technician somewhere notices a problem and fixes it.
Because they won't listen to you.
No, they sure as hell won't listen to you. Well, it says you're connected. What would be interesting to see is if you could do a trace route. I think is it trace route on Windows or is it trace cert on Windows?
Trace RT.
Trace RT. Okay, it's trace cert. Go to your start menu, type in CMD and hit enter, or Windows R and just run CMD. And then while your internet connection is actually working, type in trace RT to google.com and let it run, and then save that. And then when your internet connection drops, if it drops for like a couple minutes or whatever, while it's down, run a tracert. Run traceRT to google.com. See if you can do it. If you can't, see if you can run a traceRT to anything on the internal network. That is to your router. And then try to run it to, if your router is the cable modem, try to run it to the first hop. That's the first result after your IP address. So you'll see 192.168.1.1 is your router. And you'll actually see 127.00.1, which is your computer. You'll see 192.168.1.1 or something like that. That's your router.
That's the router.
That's the second hop is your router. The third hop, the third result in traceRT will be the first stop all your data goes to on your on the internal ISP network. See if you can run a traceRT to that, and then you can start determining where this disconnect is happening. It could be that disconnect happens on the ISP end, and in which case you may actually have a service complaint. You actually may have an actual honest-to-God service complaint with the ISP, which is a rarity in this industry. So
screen cap everything.
Screen cap everything, at least just for reference. And see where you go from there. I mean, get back to us on that one and see, because from there there are several diagnostic steps where it branches off to. We try to basically you'll see where it's trying to see where the fucking problem is. Essentially, is it on their end or your end? I'm willing to bet it's probably the hardware on your end, probably the router, or it could be a misconfiguration or some bullshit. You never know. But that's the first step to doing it. Oh. Ready for the next question?
Yes.
Alrighty. This is from Kotaro Fuma. Hey, Lord Cats, this question for my bro who works for my brother. This is from my bro who works for my brother, who is an evacuation modeler? Basically builds buildings via 3D modeling software and creates real-life scenarios to escape buildings. Airplanes, trains and tunnels, etc. Well, that is fucking cool. I've never heard of that before. That is fucking cool. He says, quote, I want to build a Beowulf cluster to create a render farm for my 3D modeling animations. What kind of equipment would you recommend? I have a budget of about £5,000 to make this happen. If a Beowulf cluster isn't suited to this, what kind of render farm setup would you suggest?
What are you using to render?
What are you using to render currently, and how long does it take? That's what I want to know. Now, £5,000 for a how accurate does the model have to be? Because £5,000, I could blow through that really fast. Really fast for a Beowulf cluster. Is it software dependent, or is it CPU dependent, or is it GPU dependent? What is your software model? Or what does your software use the most? I'm actually willing to bet it's GPU dependent. If it is, I could blow through that so goddamn fast. Modeling is all about time until calculated. Yeah. Boy. Man. You know, we're not the right guys to ask this to. We would actually have to be. I would have to be on a call with this guy, actually asking him what his specific requirements are. Can he work with NVIDIA? Can he work with ATI? What type of processing power does he need? Is he going to run this Beowulf cluster in a custom? Is this a custom Windows environment, or is this a custom Linux environment? Is he running a Beowulf?
NVIDIA is actually more suited to this sort of thing because of the CUDA cores thing.
Yeah, NVIDIA would be more suited to this because of CUDA. But is the software he's using, does it work on NVIDIA? Is it specifically coded to that? I don't want to give him recommendations based on anything I know. I don't know.
NVIDIA cluster on Windows is...
They exist. That's the thing, though. I mean, I don't want to tell him go everything CUDA and get yourself Linux and Beowulf with that. If the company he's working for has custom solutions in place already that's supported by Microsoft. See, that's the problem.
Yeah. What are they already using?
What are you already using?
Compatibility.
I mean, I understand Beowulf is not specifically a Windows thing, but people say Beowulf cluster for any fucking cluster of computers, so I want to be sure. And the problem is, I know for a fact I could burn through 5,000 pounds in a second. and then I could, and the likelihood is I could probably build the wrong fucking system, and he'd be so pissed.
Yeah.
So there you go. So my answer to you is probably not worth asking us unless we were actually in a call and we were designing specifics. I would honestly ask a contractor that specializes in this stuff. Sorry. You know, it's not as simple as saying, hey, make sure you have 12 gigabytes of RAM on each system and you have a GeForce, you have an NVIDIA GTX 550. It's not that simple. Sorry.
What you need to do is ask whoever is making that software.
We need to ask
what they recommend.
What they recommend.
I'll be right back, guys.
Sure, we can. Let's fly without Nash for a little bit.
Yes, I'll be right back.
Fly with Mark. How you doing, Mark?
All
right. This next one comes from Cadus. Hey guys, I'm afraid I have problems that's got me a little worried. Well, I've taken your advice to build a PC. I'll be stuck with my current one for a few months. The problem is, I think Windows might be giving out on me. Dun dun dun. I used to get a message that about an unresponsive program and the computer would restart itself. This would happen once every few months, so at first I believed it wasn't a big deal. Now, however, it started to happen more frequently, sometimes several times a day. Any ideas on how I could fix this?
It sounds like a blue screen that's restarting.
Is it a blue screen? Because he says he's getting a message box about an unresponsive program. What unresponsive program would be causing this to restart?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: how many toolbars do you have on Windows Explorer, on Internet Explorer, or Firefox or Google Chrome? I would say, as a safe bet, go start running Malwarebytes. Go start running Spybot Search and Destroy as a starting point to trying to track down this problem. I wouldn't be surprised to see that this was maybe some kind of malware or just some sort of really weird program you don't need causing this problem.
The computer's restarting itself. So, what's... But that sounds like
see,
a
if
blue
it's
screen.
restarting itself, it's not going to blue screen because... I don't think it's a blue screen, because I think he mentioned blue screen specifically. Because
sometimes the blue screen doesn't appear. The computer just restarts itself.
Oh, well, sometimes it does, but... I would say, yeah. You know what? I would start with the malware thing first, Mark. What do you think?
Yeah. Start with that first.
I'd do with would you recommend a registry cleaner? No. Registry cleaners are bad juju. Worst comes to worst with this, in this case. I mean, worst comes to worst, reinstall Windows and see if that fixes the problem. If that doesn't fix it, then it's more of a hardware issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I would start with malware first, and then work my way down from there. Start what programs are starting up. See, all that glorious stuff. And Nash is back.
Sorry, I had emergency.
Emergency.
Just had to make sure things weren't on fire, but everything's fine.
Yay. Alrighty, we're on Alaris's question now. Dear Lord Cat, Nash, Mark, et al. I'm building a new PC, and did an outside-of-the-case test on the motherboard box to see if the components all work. The components for reference in my problem are an Asus P8Z68VLE and a Seasonic S12LL Bronze 520-watt power supply. The computer posted, and I got to BIOS. When I detached the 8-pin EPS connector and the connected PCI Express connector, I have trouble removing the 24-pin connector. It is stuck. I've been tugging at it for 3 days and barely any results. The latch hook is not in place. It is far enough in that I can't fit my fingernails in the gap. Similar problem seen here. Stuck pin, eh?
Ooh.
So the clip is off and it's stuck in there. Alright, so in this case, tugging's probably not going to do anything.
No.
The way to get it out is... It's probably going to be a combination of cooking oil and rocking back and forth.
Yeah,
rocking the plug back and
rock
forth.
Me slowly.
Yeah, rock it slowly back and forth. Don't pull on the wire. Pulling on the wire is a bad thing when it's stuck. Yeah. You want to actually pull on the clear plastic connector, and you just want to sort of rock it back and forth like that. You're also going to want to put cooking oil in there. Yes, I said cooking oil, to see if it'll help. Not a lot, just to, take an eyedropper and drop a little bit in there. See if it'll help lube it up.
First, you get the cooking oil out. Then we start rocking back and forth real slow.
Yeah, non-conductive lubricant. Maybe a Q-tip would even work, too. We're talking a very, very minor amount. You don't need to soak the fucking thing in it. Get the cooking oil in there, baby. That's right. Deep inside there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
It might have swelled a little bit. Everything we're saying sounds awful now. It is plastic, so it
I know,
can't
I'm
work.
swollen.
Right, man. Boy, ain't right.
We've been doing this way too long. We gotta do this 3 more hours.
A little bit, yeah.
God damn it, Lord Cat. Oh, God, that should be our slogan. God damn it, Jason.
You might also want to try this. Get a flathead screwdriver, and where that clip connects to where the plastic clip connects to the socket, try prying that up just a wee bit. Get a little bit more clearance between the clip and because it may look like it's not connected, it may even feel like it's not, but it might just have a little bit of a hitch under there. So just gently pry that out, not so much that it breaks, just enough to give you a little more clearance, and try and get it out of there.
Going back to the to the Beowulf question, the budget's actually now £10,000, and right now
that's $14,000.
And right now he's using a £4,000 Mac Pro. It is very CPU intensive, not GPU intensive.
So if he's using a $4,000 Mac Pro, that means he's using a $2,000 PC.
Hey, yeah. But what software is he running? And is the software can it be used on other operating systems?
Yeah,
if the software even multi-threadable.
Yeah, does the software multi-thread at all?
Yeah,
that's the
if
question.
If it doesn't, then you can add as many classes as you want. not going to do anything.
You know what, Nicholas Bolding, to Satan on Twitter? I have a proposition for you. Send us an email. Send me an email, lordcat@lordcat.com, with the details of this, and see if we can't get your brother on the show. We'll see if we can't work out and get him on the show and actually talk to him about this, the requirements for the project. Because I know I'm pretty sure hiring a consultant is going to blow his budget, especially at $10,000. That's nothing. You should at least for a consultant budget $150,000 to build a cluster.
Dude, give us $100 each. We'll tell you what we think.
Tell us you like our
we
hair.
Work cheap.
Tell us you like our show. We'll fucking answer your question. Jesus.
Yeah.
So how about that? As for the guy who's got his thingy, he's got his thingy stuck lubricant, some sort of lube, and rocking back and forth.
That's kind of a universal thing there, isn't it?
Non-conductive lubricant, okay?
Yes.
That means no water-based lubricants, no silicon-based lubricants. I mean that. I have seen people who have used KY jelly. You are bad, bad people for trying to rape your computers. Bad people.
This is going into just weird places here.
Bad.
Oh, God.
The CPU might be warm, but it gets too hot for your dick. Bad.
Ah, Jesus Christ, man. Boy ain't right.
That's what I need sleep.
Boy ain't right.
Oh, God. Oh. Did you say you needed sleep, Mark? I'm sorry.
No, I'd say you might need some sleep.
my family decided to wake me up 9 o'clock in the morning, which not a bad thing considering. Except the party went. I tried to go to sleep around 11 o'clock. The party was still going on downstairs, so that didn't work out. I fell asleep around 3-ish after all of my sister's friends had left, who were really loud and drunk. About 3-ish, I fell asleep. 6 o'clock in the morning, I hear a football game on downstairs. Turns out my dad decided he desperately needed to watch the Giants beat the Jets. So from about 6 o'clock onwards, all I can hear is this football game going on that was recorded from yesterday. I managed to doze off again at 7. 9 o'clock, Dad comes on my door, and he's like, "You need to come downstairs, we're opening presents." And I was like, I'll take a rain check. So, I'm a little tired. I'm sorry. Anyway, you ready?
Yeah.
Next question. I might be a little loopy. I'm sorry.
Just a little, maybe?
Lord Cat Nash and Mark, I have this strange intermittent problem with my USB ports. Just happened to me right now, where I plugged in a USB power hard disk drive and my system semi-crashed. I was watching Chaos D1's 7th episode of MMO Grinder on my secondary monitor when I plugged in my hard drive to one of my top front USB ports. My secondary monitor seemed to stop working. The video. I could alt-tab some programs like Firefox and Skype, but even that stopped working eventually. I was able to listen to Chaos D1 for several more minutes as more and more functionality seemed to just lock up before the sound of him talking stopped and I had to reset my system. My mouse could move around freely, and all I could do was pretty much only move my mouse around. To test it again, I tried plugging it in the back of my PC with nothing else, and the same problem happened. I can only seem to use external hard drives if I plug them in and then start up the computer. Interesting.
That sounds like I/O running full.
Yeah, it sounds like an I/O issue, but what would be causing it?
I was going to say a power issue, but he's got, well, maybe a power issue. Look at this thing. i7 clocked at 4 gigahertz, 6 gigabytes of RAM, 3 gigabyte 580, one SSD, 2 terabyte hard drives, and a 2 terabyte hard disk drive, 1 TH. What's 1 TH? I don't know. And two 2 terabyte hard drives and a 950 watt power supply. He has a UPS as well. That might be pushing the power requirements just a wee bit, even on a 950 watt.
Maybe,
That's an i7, a GeForce 580.
No, because if it was pushing the power... No, if it was pushing the power, it would just shut down.
Wouldn't that cause a lag across the USB, maybe across the video? Or are you thinking this is I/O?
No, 950 watt might actually be a bit too much. I think it's an I/O problem.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. See, the thing is, if it wasn't enough power, it would just shut down.
True.
It would just cut off. I mean, I don't know what the 1TH is though. 2 terabyte hard disk drives, 1TH, and 2 terabyte hard drives, and 2 terabyte hard drives. I don't know what that 1TH is.
4. That's like 5 hard drives in there. Good Lord, man. What are you doing? It's like a RAID array? I hope it's a RAID array, because otherwise, what are you doing?
Now, I would have a couple of... another oddity seems to be DX11 games where they shut off my secondary monitor.
Oh, okay. All right.
I like to shadow up the secondary monitor. Well, you see, I have that problem too, and
Yeah,
I have to Alt-Tab to get the monitor back on. It's weird. I've never figured out. The only way I've ever figured out how to fix it, and since you're running a 580, you might be able to do this. See if your game has borderless full screen, borderless windowed mode, and set it to the full screen resolution of your desktop. TF2 has it. Every Source game has it. Other games don't have it. Also, some games like Crysis and Backman Arkham City, with everything cranked to the 9s, I get an error message from Windows asking me to simplify my desktop for better performance. But I don't notice any poor performance in the game, so I don't really understand why it's popping up. I googled it and found that completely disabling Action Center pop-ups, but it's still consistent.
That's Windows. That's Windows Display Window Manager.
Yeah.
Saying, "Oh God, I can't produce enough FPS."
Yeah, it's Windows Display Manager going, "Oh my God, I can do that." Oh, Windows Display Manager is stupid as shit. Let me tell you. All right, so don't worry about them. Let's see.
You're going to see that, and there's no real way to fix it because the games are just pulling every power your graphics card has, and Windows is like, "Oh."
But why is it shutting off or crashing just because you plugged in the hard drive?
Let me ask you this: it's a USB based hard drive? Do USB based flash sticks do this as well? Because if it is an I/O problem, then the flash sticks might cause it as well.
Well, Windows, if you plug in a USB hard disk, Windows will search it.
Oh yeah, it will search it, won't it?
But that usually doesn't take that long.
Well, if it's a big hard disk, it's got a lot on it, a lot of folders.
And
Windows can
maybe
be stupid.
Maybe it's not even.
Oh,
maybe
is it trying to
check
index?
disk.
Wait, is it trying to index it?
Index.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's trying to index it, isn't it? You got to turn
Turn
indexing
that off.
Turn indexing. Well, index sucks. Yeah,
This
see
will
if you can
make
disable
everything
indexing.
faster. Everything will go faster if we just index all the drives.
Yeah, but if you're trying to index everything off a USB 3 hard drive, it'll eat up your I/O pretty hard, or even USB 2.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's indexing, because what indexing is going to do, it's not going to make the index file on that hard drive. It'll make the index file on your regular hard drive. So you're going across from the USB I/O over the PCI bridge to not the PCI bridge, the north or the south, one of those fucking bridges to your hard drive, and that's fucking everything up. That could fuck everything up.
Indexing was one of those nice ideas on paper.
It could be
It
now.
works in Linux, works in Mac, doesn't work in Windows.
Nope.
That's not.
Nope. Chuck test.
Now that's one solution that I think's probably hitting on it. If that's not it, it could be that the hard drive's failing.
Yeah.
That could be it too.
Or maybe the file system is failing.
Or maybe the file system's failing. You'll have to run it. You'll have to do a check disk on it.
Yeah.
Well, Windows is opening every file on it. So if any file is broken, Windows will check it.
Well, Windows will choke on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm gonna agree with Zen in the chat room here. Try plugging the drive into another computer. See if it behaves similarly. If it does, I would say you definitely should run maybe a check disk on that drive.
Yeah.
See if it'll fix anything. If it doesn't, it might just be that the hard drive's failing, and then. But it does seem like an I/O issue in terms of what's getting output. It could be misleading symptoms though. So check if it's both. Disable indexing on the drive and run check disk on it. See if that fixes anything, and get back to us. Let us know.
And check if there's any program that auto starts on the drive. maybe some virus even.
Yeah.
I just got a tweet from Java 7 Nerd. I walk away from the stream for a bit, and I come back, and my family hears some kind of lube and rocking back and forth.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas from live.lordcat.com, everyone.
Good thing they didn't hear anything else.
We already answered Volger's question. 2 questions, but a wall of text from Unknown Soldier Han. Hello, Lord Cat National Maluko. I have 2 problems that you guys might be able to help with. This is a big one. I just bought myself an NZXT Apollo case, and I was astounded by the size, mainly because I don't see that many computers, this laptops and old XP desktops, but I found my old Walmart board eMachines XP in a closet, and since I'm just biding my time for my next paycheck and so terribly bored, I put the XP's guts in my new case, and everything turns on when I plug it in. I was like, okay, then it turns off, and the power switch will not turn it back on. The only way for it to come back on is to unplug it for a few seconds, then plug it back in, and it shuts off for some seconds later, even though it's the original case and it's staying. Being a somewhat frequent watcher, I remember someone who had the same problem. The problem was his motherboard was mounted wrong. The thing used to be a family computer ever since XP came out. It was just shown somewhere we got laptops 4 years ago, and the thing was crashed multiple times because a certain sibling of mine decided it would be a good to download porn videos. Onto it. I was just going.
It's anywhere.
I was not one. I was just going to see if I could mess around with it and probably install Linux on it just to mess around with it, but you guys think it's fried. It's not really a loss. So I was just wanting to learn the basics of taking a computer apart, so it was just me installing something wrong. I don't know what the brand of these components are. None of them labeled. Motherboard, power supply, computer, hard drive, CPU drive, 2 transfer. After some more tinkering and posting, you see that the cables that connect to my motherboard from my LED power button are the problems because we started up, but it couldn't turn off this time. And it was told that it might be some of the cables are incompatible with the outdated motherboard. Is this the case? Yes.
Yes.
Woo! Yeah.
Some of the thing about some of the older computers was there is a standard for the cables that connect to your power, to your hard drive light, to your power light, to your reset switch. All of those are kind of a standard. They're little 2-pin on-off switches, or positive-negative LED lines.
But there's a problem there, though.
Right.
A standard case that you just buy retail, like Newegg, has a bunch of different cables and a bunch of different pins. An eMachines case may not have that. It may just have a non-standard brick that you just sort of plug in.
All the wires plugged in together. So without looking up the make and model of that eMachine and looking at the pinout on that motherboard, if it even exists, you're not going to know which pin is supposed to go where.
Yeah.
And it's entirely possible that you might end up attempting to shoot power through something that's not meant to shoot power through.
You also need to remember that eMachines, they use non-standard motherboards. They have their own specific type of motherboards that they ordered in. And this is this is part of the reason why people hate eMachines, is because everything's pretty much proprietary, which means you're not going to upgrade it.
And you can't even salvage the case. Can't even salvage the case.
Well, you could salvage the case if you manage to find the pinout for this thing, and then specifically rewire each pin to its own set of connectors.
Yeah. It'd just be a tremendous pain in the butt.
Be easier to just buy a case, to be honest with you. So is it incompatible with the motherboard in the case? Probably, yeah. Yeah, I think that's the problem. Is that the actual pins are incompatible. I'm sorry, but
your options here are to basically, if you don't care about losing this thing, if you do not care one bit about losing it, try the power leads on one pair. If it doesn't come on, try it on the next pair. If it doesn't come on, try it on and just keep going down the line. Next, try the power LEDs on one pair. Doesn't come on, keep going. Eventually, you will find the right leads that go to the right places, but you may damage something in the process, but it's worth a shot if you don't care about these components.
Now, the second question, this is my first time building a computer, so I was wondering if you guys could also tell me if these components will make a good desktop for $1,500 or less. A Gigabyte 990X AM3, 6 gigabytes a second USB 3 motherboard. Samsung 1 terabyte hard drive, due to all the really good brands shooting up to more than this. By the way, a little bit of news. End of Q1, financial Q1, prices should shoot down for hard drives.
That'll be around March, April, somewhere around
A little
there.
around April.
Thank
Okay.
God.
Yeah. Video card, EVGA GeForce GTX 560. Not bad. G-Skill Ripjaws X, 8 gigabytes.
Yeah.
AMD
Yep,
Phenom
good.
2 Danib X4, 3.5 gigabits. Gigahertz. Gigabits. Antec High...
Core.
Danib's like-
Gigahertz per second?
I think he got confused with GZS and everything, and KBPS and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yep.
Antec, by the way, the GHS, I don't know what that means. That's kind of why I got confused. I was like, gigabits? What? You mean GHZ? It's gigahertz. Antec High Current Gamer 400 watt. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Cooler Master Hyper 212, Samsung Blu-ray. Now we'll really get to the power. Monix and Naos mouse, keyboard, monitor. I am very concerned about your power supply here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very concerned. Now, if you didn't have the Blu-ray drive, I would be less concerned because I'm pretty sure the GTX 560 would work with a 400 watt supply.
No, it won't.
The 560 requires more, huh?
I have
Okay.
a 560.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then
It don't like 400. It didn't even like 500 watts.
it wants about 650, huh?
About 550 actually.
550. All right. So you want a 550, maybe even six. Actually, with the Blu-ray drive, if you're going to use Blu-ray, and if it's at all a Blu-ray writer, you're going to want 600, 650.
Yeah.
That thing, Blu-ray is a power sink. Blu-ray is amazingly power draw. Well, the Blu-ray power draw. Some people say it's negligible. It wasn't for me. Blu-ray has been maybe the cheaper drives are maybe the more expensive drives are negligible. For me, the Blu-ray power draw, it's somewhere around 50 to 100 watts for the drive I have. So I mean that's a problem for me. I would get a 600 power.
Yeah.
I get 600 watt.
Let's see. Daneb. I'm pretty sure the Daneb processor. I'm looking it up. I think that's the older one. I may be wrong. I'm looking up AMD's processor right now. Yeah.
And Deneb is the 125 watt. Core.
Yeah, that's
Ooh. Yeah. 600 watts.
Deneb. Oh, it's Deneb. Okay, all right. Daneb. What's a No, it's a Deneb. Okay, let's
Yeah.
put these by price. I'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah, I would say, in terms of everything else, the only thing I'd change out right now, pending the Deneb, the processor is you got to get a better power supply.
Well, actually, I think the Zosma that only goes to 3 gigahertz, but that does run at 95 watts as opposed to
125, yeah.
and that is a black edition too. That's a it's a black edition. Or is it a black? Why does it look like a black edition? No, that's a black edition.
3.5
boxes.
gigahertz.
Yeah, the
No, almost-
3.5 is the Deneb. There's no way around that.
We are almost back at Pentium 4 levels.
I know, right? I'm almost, but even this, considering the Bulldozer, I hate doing this because I love AMD, but I'd have to recommend maybe even considering getting an Intel.
Well, then you'll have to
Here's
swap
the
out your
budget.
motherboard too, and then you'll have to
Yeah.
go memory now.
Yeah.
Don't forget, Harith brings up a good point. The old Phenom CPUs are phasing out, and they're going to be phasing in Bulldozer under the Phenom name.
That's just mean.
Yeah,
All right, I'm not going to be able to forgive AMD for that one.
that's So I mean,
That might actually, I think, if they do that, that might actually finally drive me over to
to Intel's
to
camp.
Intel.
It's a shame. It really is. Alrighty, next question. Well, we already asked that question. We'll go to the one after that. Silent Angel 88. Lord Cat and Nash been long startups for a while now, getting annoying. Actually, didn't we answer this one?
Yeah, you did
We
that
did
one.
one. Jesus Christ.
Oh, hey, here's a good one.
Yeah, what? Can you read that one? My eyes are goo.
Okay. Donna Minstrel. Hi, Lord Cat Nash and Mark, my namesake. Okay. Lately, me and my girlfriend decided to get into the super lucrative podcasting business. Just give him a minute. You good?
I'm good.
Okay. But we're into a problem. The single mini jack microphone we have just isn't doing it for us. Not surprised. You have a suggestion how to cheaply connect 2 microphones to 1 computer and what 2 microphones to buy for quality podcast. Thank you. Just want to listen, and if you want to listen to the show, just look for Pulse to Para Español in the blog section. All right. We mentioned the Blues earlier, but for what you're doing, I may almost recommend getting a breakout box and then getting 2 XLR microphones. The reason why, and make sure some breakout boxes also include a small mini mixer or at least a bass and treble levels. You might want to go for that. In fact, I'll look up what we got here.
Here's why you either want a breakout box or a mini mixer or a proper mixer.
Yeah. Usually I do this.
2 microphone inputs on 1 Windows system is too much for Windows to handle.
It
Its
can't
brain
put those together.
cannot comprehend this. It doesn't understand multiple voices. It becomes schizophrenic, and it hates you. Now,
There's a trick.
Go ahead.
If you have just 2, you can map them into a line into the left and the right channel.
But that's going to cut your audio quality down.
Cut your audio quality down. If you want multiple inputs, get a mixer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, get a mixer. There's no other way to do it. Now, you're going to need a mixer that...
Well, you don't necessarily need...
A mixer itself, but...
Well, you don't necessarily need that. Because, like, some of the breakout boxes, they're not... I'm trying to find it. I'm looking on M-Audio site. Because I use one right now, and you don't need a full-on mixer, because most of those have 2 XLR inputs, if you get the right ones. That's all you really need, and you can balance the volume on each of those. And then from there, you can find the audio interface. From there, you can find the right microphone you want, and you don't have to spend it all at once, because if you just take... Yeah, here we go. Well, that's a FireWire connect. But FireWire might not be a bad choice there either. Let's see.
Dude, I'm thinking a mini mixer with a 1/4-inch output and just get a 1/4-inch to 3.5.
Here's the one I recommend. The Mobile Pre from M-Audio. It's USB based. It's 2 inputs. It has independent volume for each of them. Yeah, I would go with the Mobile Pre, especially if you're going to podcasting, because what you can do is you can record the audio and then adjust it in post. You can adjust the use Audigy to adjust the bass, the whatnot. What you're hearing right now. This is raw Mobile Pre audio, because that's what this microphone is connected to.
Mm-hmm.
You're hearing the Mobile Pre right now.
Yeah,
not a bad unit. Works pretty well.
It does.
So
it works very well.
And I would also, even better, you can find these on eBay. It retails for around $200, but eBay, you can find these. They're still in perfect working order. You can find these for half that cost. What's the price of a decent mixer? More like $100. And the problem is getting it from the mixer to your computer. And most computers only have, the only input you've got is a line input, which is a 3.5 millimeter unbalanced connection. That's not really good for sound quality, which is why I'm recommending a breakout box here, because otherwise I'd say getting a specialized recording sound card, then connecting it to the mixer, and yeah, just the Mobile Pre just makes it easier.
All right, the next question from Endless is shopping for a tablet. I'm in the market for a tablet. These are the requirements I'm looking for. Under $300, preferably under $250. Android. Could be Froyo, gingerbread, honeycomb, or ice cream sandwich. The only real difference is between them is how they look, right? Well, no. It should have access to the official Android market. It's okay if it doesn't have access to the official market out of the box, so long as there's a hack for it. That's doable. It has to be able to stream Netflix smoothly. That's going to be a little hit or miss. An SD card or micro SD card slot is not necessary, but a big plus. I know Arcos, Acer, ViewSonic, and Barnes & Noble have solutions. I also know there are a bunch of horrible solutions from companies like Kobe or Sylvania. So far, these are the ones that I'm considering. The Arcos' sub-brand Arnova are selling some extremely cheap tablets, $200 for 10 inches, $150 for 7 inches. I don't know if they're any good enough. They are not.
No.
Unfortunately. They're also, the Nook Color for $200, I would mod it. The Nook Tablet for $250, the ViewSonic G Tablet for $230, I would mod it with Cyanogen. What do you recommend?
You got one?
I'm actually looking up the Arcos site now, not their sub-brand. I'm actually looking up their proper brand. I want to see what the prices are.
The Nook tablet, you would have to add Google Apps to it. You would have to root it, add Google Apps to it to get the Google Marketplace or the Android Marketplace. It's also going to have Gingerbread. I don't know if they're probably going to move that one to Ice Cream Sandwich, considering it's brand new and they want to keep it supported. For the money and all your requirements, I would say the Nook tablet. Nook Color, the $50 price difference, it's a big difference in components. ViewSonic, I would not go with ViewSonic for a tablet. They don't know what they're doing. They're just like, everybody else is making one, let's get one in this marketplace. Quick, make some money. I wouldn't go there.
See, if you want smooth Netflix, you want something with about a dual core. The only problem is you're going to be spending about $300, and the closest thing I can find is the Arcos Generation 9 80 tablet. That's the 8-inch tablet, 8 gigabytes of memory. Has a dual core Cortex A9 running at 1 gigahertz. The Turbo is 1.2 gigahertz with 16 gigabytes of memory, and it priced at $319.99.
I don't know. The Nook Color does Netflix just fine. That's
Does it
not
really?
even a Net Cab. Yeah, my Hope's roommate has one. It does Netflix,
all right, well,
no problem.
All right, because I've run it on tablets that are single core, and it just doesn't run very well. Maybe it's it could, well, you know what? It could also be it could also be that it probably wasn't optimized for those platforms either. You could go with the Kindle Fire, couldn't you?
But no SD.
No SD, so that is a minus. I would say either plunk down the money for the Arcos 80 G9 tablet, or I'm actually going to probably stick with Nash's recommendation here. Go for the Nook. I'm going to go.
You're also going to need to make another little hack on the Nook tablet, and this is an annoying thing. The Nook tablet has, I believe, 16 gigabytes of internal storage. Comes with it. You can only access 2 gigabytes of that for your own storage. The rest is only accessible to downloaded content. You'll have to hack that one, and people are working on the hack for that already. But you'll have to hack that to get access to 14 gigabytes of storage you paid for.
By the way, I misspoke. I meant the Nook tablet, not the Color.
Yeah. Oh, accessible when rooted. So you have to root it to get at it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of... But you can root it. You can get around it, which is kind of silly on their part.
But endless, I'm going to tell you, I've had a Galaxy Tab now for a while. I'm disappointed with it. So disappointed. I just can't do anything with it. No, it's just me. All right, Mac Ray. Hey there, Lord Cat Nash and Maluku. Love the show. This and T3 are probably my favorite out of all the shows on the stream. I built my first computer with the help of my dad and following a lot of advice from you guys on the show. Cool.
My question answered, but new question.
Well, I found a bunch of my old computer games and wanted to see if I could play them. My computer recognizes that what they are, but can't run them. Do you guys know if there's a way to do an emulation of Windows 95 or 98? That is all. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, 95, 98 is kind of the dead zone right now.
Yeah, it's a dead zone right
Everything
now.
before that, DOSBox works
perfect.
brilliantly. Everything after still runs.
Couldn't you?
That's a dead zone.
You could virtual machine it actually relatively well with Windows, but you'd have to find a copy of Windows 95.
Not
Or
impossible at this point.
Well, actually, you know what? I know for a fact on Demonoid.me they have a working copy of Windows 98 SE specifically for this situation.
For VMware?
Yeah, for VMware.
And the only reason we recommend
VirtualBox.
doing that is because in VMware it can't get anywhere near the rest of your operating system.
Yeah.
Plus, you can't find. I dare you to find a legitimate copy of Windows 98 SE. I dare you.
Well, you'd probably find the CD sitting somewhere, but finding a key for it would be a nightmare.
Yeah. That's why you get a keygen. Sorry, shut up now before I get kicked off. Yeah, so I definitely recommend doing VMware. I think that's your best option.
Yeah.
Oi.
Yeah, or VirtualBox if you get 3D acceleration, if you need that.
Well, Windows 98 is not supported. Yeah, well, someone said Windows 98 is not supported anymore, so it should be fair game. Should.
Should, but
Not
isn't.
necessarily. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all up to Microsoft on how dickish they want to be.
Currently, they don't want to be dickish, but
Okay,
Someday.
we have a question from Liquid Nation. This could be interesting. My grandparents had an ancient desktop PC from the far gone days of 1993. I say had, as this thing finally died on them, and they, being old, can't really afford to buy a new PC. I have an old laptop that's just lying there, and I thought I'd give it to them. One problem, dead hard drive. This laptop is a Dell PP21L. I know it's old, but it's still a billion times better than the piece of poo that they've been using until now. I was wondering whether you had any suggestions for a cheap hard drive for this little dead thing. Also, they are old, so they won't exactly be downloading movies or anything really like that requires a ton of space. Thank you for your time.
is that still IDE? Or is that...
The
Straight up.
PP21L.
I'm looking right now.
Oh, looking the PP21L right up now. In case you're wondering what we're searching for Dell space PP21L. Thank you, Google Hangouts. Yes, I am still here. You are so thoughtful.
That's actually an Inspiron 1300 PP2 1L.
All right.
Inspiron 2. Let's see. Inspiron 1300. 13. Oh dear.
Oh dear. I heard an oh dear.
Look at when you get a look at the thing, you'll see why.
Damn it. Oh no, the documentation has links, but it doesn't go anywhere.
Pentium M 1.73, 512 megabytes of RAM, 60 gigabyte hard drive, Windows XP Home. It was just on the edge of wireless. Still has a modem. USB 2.0. Wow, this is an that's still an IDE.
Yeah, that's
an
IDE.
hard drive.
All right, so a couple of questions. Do they have an internet connection at home, or is it a dial-up? Is it like a cable modem? Is it a broadband connection, or is it a dial-up connection? Do they have it at all? That's what I want to know. If it's a dial-up connection, fine. Now, in terms of the hard drive, you're gonna have to eBay a hard drive for that one. It's gonna be a 2.5-inch IDE hard drive, and I think with
you can use a compact flash card as a hard drive because compact flash is IDE, the same standard. There are adapters for that.
okay, you could do that too. That's an option if you're paying attention to Mark.
Would that be fast enough?
It's flash.
It's flash, yeah, it's flash.
Yeah.
It'd be fast enough.
Would it handle that many read writes?
It'll handle enough.
Okay.
They're not really. What exactly are they doing? You know.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I think it'll work. See if actually, you know what, Newegg. Let's see what the prices of compact
Newegg
flash are.
has
right now.
some good.
Compact flash, yeah, they got CF.
But yeah, the problem with buying used hard drives is they are used hard drives. Number
Yeah.
one, they've already been in operation for you don't know how long.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know how many hours was put on this drive.
How much was the original hard drive? What did you say? 50 gigabytes,
60. So
or was it 80 gigabytes? Okay, all right, 80 gigabytes. I see. So let's see. Capacity is going to have to be at least, let's say 32 gigabytes
Yeah.
with compact flash. Well, you're looking at about $70 to $100 with compact flash.
But you know it for certain it'll work, because with a hard drive, you could buy a used one, and it could not work. That's the risk you run with buying a used hard drive. On top of that,
now, Mark, I have to ask Mark a question though. In terms of getting the compact flash to work with IDE, what do you need?
Yeah, some adapters. Well, it's a long time ago I've seen this.
Yeah, but if you need an adapter and it's already 2.5 inches in size, is it going to fit inside the laptop? That's the question I have.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to. I think you're gonna have to. This one works. Mediate says this one works. Oh, there's a power. Look at that PATA drive, an IDE drive. Oh my God!
Wow!
Wow! You dug this one out of the depths of hell, didn't you? There are still parallel ATA drives for laptops.
They ain't cheap.
They ain't cheap.
No, they ain't.
They work. 320 gigabytes.
Huh. Now, will it recognize the full size of the drive?
Probably not.
Oh, but the drive will work. So yeah.
It'll work. I mean, all right. Let me look for interface IDE.
That's no. Whoa. Who makes this stuff?
Western Digital. You can get a 160 gigabyte one for $99. It's PATA.
Yeah.
Why not? Do it. Just buy it new from Newegg. Just search for the interface IDE Ultra ATA 100 or ATA-6.
And you're also going to have to get your hands on a copy of XP with the key on the bottom should still work.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to get a copy of XP and then track down the drivers, but you can probably get those from Dell's site.
Yeah. So yeah, that should work actually.
Yeah. Unless you by some miracle still have the original Restore DVD for this, because if you do, you're all set.
Alrighty, one more question, and then we're going to take our break before we hit our final 2-hour segment. How's that sound, Nash?
I sound good.
Sound good?
Those were some fast 2 hours.
Went by, didn't it? I looked, it was like it's 8 o'clock. Holy crap. Yeah. Alrighty, hello, Lord Cat, Nash, and Mark. My mom's computer, about 8 years old, has failed. It BSOD and then has random colored lines across the screen. Dead video card.
Yep.
After a restart, the screen would flash back every few seconds. I switched the monitor from graphics card to the onboard graphics, but then it wouldn't show anything. So any suggestions on getting it running, even if only temporary, to pull the data? I don't have any specs other than it's XP and it's about enough power to run Neverwinter Nights.
Remove the... If you have an internal one, remove the external graphics card.
Oh yeah, remove the internal. Yeah. If you say you have two graphics cards, essentially, you moved it to the onboard one. Remove the one that's inside it right now, because it's probably still acting as the default device, so you're not going to get anything on VGA.
Most computers, when you have a graphics card plugged in, even if you have onboard graphics, it does a scan of your PCI slots and PCIe slots, and it looks for a graphics
They take
adapter.
precedence over the onboard.
Yep. If it sees one there, it shuts off the onboard one completely. If you take it out, it'll reinitialize. Yeah.
So that should probably be a way you should be able to at least use the machine, though. You're not going to play Neverwinter Nights on it with the onboard one. Sorry to say. Second question: any suggestions for a desktop to either buy or build for text software and word processing?
Any desktop.
Anything that works. I mean,
even the cheapest one they have.
Yeah, I mean, go to Dell's site. Get the cheapest one they have. I mean,
yep. And pretty much,
you should. You know what? You should even take advantage of the surplus pricing Dell has, because when it comes to the really cheap stuff, Dell kicks the crap out of building it yourself. When it comes to the ultra cheap, Dell and HP can kick the crap out of it because they just have they just buy in such bulk. Get the cheapest thing you can find if it's nothing but tax software and word processing.
And hey, the nice thing about getting the cheapest one, you get a year warranty free.
Yeah. It's not bad. Whew! That wraps up another 2 hours of How to Do It. Guys, if you were watching on our heads are hurting. And if you are watching on Twitch TV, we are at live.lordcat.com right now. We are currently about to enter the next 2 hours, the final 2 hours of the How to Do It Christmas Marathon.
Yeah.
I don't know what made me think this was a good idea, but I have gone loopy from this. We're at live.lordcat.com. We're going to take a 15-minute break because we need to go gather ourselves and pretend that we exist again, and we need to stop seeing the colored shiny lights. You can follow us on Twitter, LordCat. I'm at LordCat. He is at Nash076. Mark is at Maluku Saito.
I am a banana.
We're at live.lordcat.com, folks, and we are going to take a break, and we'll be right back with our next segment of the How to Do It Marathon.